Hi, I'm Christie. I'm the education lead for Nordic Walking UK and for Walks. That's WALX for Walks. In 2003, I brought Nordic Walking into the country. And since that time, we've trained some 5,000 instructors, including hundreds of physiotherapists in all fields. So we really understand Nordic Walking and what walking with two poles offers. What I want to share with you today is the benefits of Nordic Walking, how to get the most from using poles. And that's not just going to be when walking with the poles. I also want to have a look at stability exercises, postural exercises, strength exercises, flexibility. So you can use poles to enhance whatever exercise program you like to follow. I want to look at different types of poles as well. So whatever you have, I want you to be able to join in with this session, but also understand the difference between a trekking pole, a Nordic walking pole, and I'm going to be using the Activator Poles. So if we start off with poles then, looking at the different types, this is a trekking pole. The key design feature of a trekking pole, the way you know it's a trekking pole, is because it will have a strap system. When I show you the Nordic walking poles in a moment, you'll see that they've got a glove-like strap, but this is just a plain strap. The other way you might know that you've got a trekking pole is if you've got springs inside the pole, then it's a trekking pole, and they're designed for comfort. A trekking pole is designed to help you walk for longer distances with some degree of support and stability. The strap, when you use it, you can either pass your hand through the strap and then hold on. The downside of a trekking pole is that when you hold on to a handle, inevitably you grip quite tightly. When you grip quite tightly, that creates tension in the forearm. It can create tension up into the neck and the shoulders. That also increases blood pressure a little bit. Now, when you go walking, blood pressure increases in any case, and that's a safe thing. But if you grip too tightly, then it's going to increase it slightly more. So you want to be able to relax your hand with whatever pole you're using. One way you can achieve this a bit better with a trekking pole is to bring your hand up from underneath, so you're resting on the strap and then holding onto the handle there. So I've come up from underneath and I'm holding then onto the handle. However, it doesn't give a great degree of support, but it gives some better support than just pushing your hand through and gripping tightly on the handle. So that's a trekking pole. A Nordic walking pole will always come in pairs. So trekking poles, you may find that they may come in pairs. They are often sold singly. Always worth buying two. And the exercises we're going to do really rely on having two poles. It balances you out. It makes both sides work more equally, whether that's the exercise or going for a walk. So a key design component is there are two poles. If we look at the glove here, the glove opens up, your hand will go inside and then close round, and you have much better support. There is still some movement in the wrist, so you'll need to ensure that you're holding, controlling the handle when you use these. But notice, because I've got the glove, I'm not gripping too tightly here. I am keeping my fingers in contact with the handle, but I'm not squeezing the life out of it. I'm keeping it nice and relaxed. A Nordic walking pole will come with a rubber boot of some sort, and that helps to provide some degree of traction on the ground. Underneath that, you will have a spike the way you would have with a trekking pole. So you have the option for soft ground and for pavement. The poles that I'm going to use, it's a Canadian product. It's the Activator Pole. There's no strap system with here. The handle is slightly larger, so it enables you to hold on without necessarily gripping too tightly. The key design feature of the Activator Pole is this core ledge. And when you press down on this core ledge, you will feel your stomach muscles engaged. You'll feel that it lifts you into a better posture. It's there to give stability and support. I'll come to that a little bit more detail in a moment. The Activator Poles are push button, so they're easier to adjust, and they come with a bell-shaped paw. There is a version with a boot-shaped paw, so later on we'll look at the two different techniques for walking. One where you need the poles to very much give you stability and support, and another where the poles will be behind you to drive you forward, and at that point you might want the boot-shaped paw. But these will come with they'll come with the bell-shaped paw, which gives stability in 360 degrees. So it's a much more stable, secure pole. So I'm going to be using the Activator Poles. If after this that you want any more information about poles, have a look at nordicwalking.co.uk, go to the store and you'll find the information there. If you have a long-term medical condition, it is worth noting that the Activator Poles you are able to buy exempt of VAT. Any other walking pole, trekking pole, Nordic walking pole, you're not able to buy exempt of VAT. But the Activator Pole, you are. So, just as the other poles, as the Nordic walking poles rather, it comes in a pair. So, it's important, as I said, that's going to give you balance on both sides. If you haven't got the Activator Poles, I know some of you will, I'd like you just to feel the support that gives. Now, if you've got a Nordic pole, you can have your hand in your strap and you'll feel it to the same degree as well. If you have the trekking pole, remember if you bring your hand up through the strap, then you can hold on there. But if you don't have poles, I'd like you now to feel what that core ledge provides. And you can do it even while seated. If you put your hand out on the table and you push down on the table, you'll feel, goes down, you'll feel the stomach muscles engaged. You'll feel that lift into a better postural position. If you put both hands on, you'll feel it that little bit more. If you're close to the table and you have your hands close and you push down, you'll feel the abs engage. If you then slide your hands further away and push down with the same degree of force, you'll feel the abs engage that much more. So what we're going to be looking at with the poles in the exercises we're doing, we're going to look for you to get as much movement as you can through the arms, through the shoulders, because if you can do that, then it engages much more through the core muscles, and that lifts you up. It supports your back. It helps to relax your shoulders as well, because you're supported from below rather than trying to hold up into neck and shoulders. I don't want to just look at standing exercises. I want to also start off if you're seated, if you feel more comfortable seated, to always have an option to do these exercises sitting down. The session today, I'm not going through a lot of different exercises. We're really just looking at the way you can apply using the poles to the exercise that you ordinarily do. So, whatever pole you've got, I'd like you to take it down. This is if you're going to use them seated, so that the pole is below shoulder height. So just make that adjustment. I'm going to adjust the other one now and bring it down to below shoulder height. So there are a whole range of exercises that you can do with the poles. If you do a seated exercise and you normally, for example, move out to the side, then the poles, you can do that with the poles as well. You can lift and you can bring out, and you can lift and you can bring out. But I want to look at why the poles make the exercise different. It's going to be because of the strap. It's going to be because of this core ledge. As I push down on that core ledge, notice my hands are relaxed. As I push down on the core ledge, I'm lifted into a better posture. If I let go, I'm not holding there, and I just drop a little bit. As I push down, I can feel my stomach muscles engaged, and that lifts me into better posture. You can move with the poles. So if you are used to doing an exercise where you walk backwards on your seat and then walk forwards, try and give it a go with the poles. So as you push down and you feel the stomach muscles engage, your shoulders come down, you relax, and then when you move backwards, you're able to do so with more lift, more supports, and actually the quality of movement is better as well. So coming forwards, I'm just lightly pressing down through the ledge to get that degree of lift there. Looking at coming up with the poles, so coming up to a standing position. If we now adjust the poles so that they are towards your standing height, and you notice with the activator poles that's quite easy with the push button. If you're adjusting it, you can pause this recording just to get yourself set up, and then continue once you're all set up at standing height. So I'm using the poles here slightly higher now, and I'm going to shuffle forward on my seat. Now, it's very important that the seat that you're using gives you that it's a very stable seat. I don't want the seat to move or to fall backwards. So what you might want to consider if you're thinking you're not sitting on a stable seat, is just to take the seat, move it back against a firmer surface, and then bring yourself back on down. To bring myself up to standing with the poles then, two options. We'll go first of all with a longer arm. I'm going to walk myself to the edge of the seat. My feet come underneath, sort of towards the chair slightly. I reach forward a little bit with the poles. As I reach forward, I'm now starting to put pressure down through the ledge into the strap if you've got poles. As I push down, I'm feeling lighter on my feet. I continue to push down and I bring myself up to standing. The harder I find it on my legs, the more I can push through onto the handle. I'm going to lower myself down now, so I'm still pushing through the handle and controlling that descent. My bottom's starting to go back. I'm going to show you from the side in just a moment, and then I come back down. If you find it too difficult to reach, but it can be good to try and reach, so try and get a larger movement. If you find that too difficult, just go to the range that you feel comfortable with. Pushing down on the ledge, my feet are underneath the chair. As I start to push on the poles, I bring myself upright with the poles. So let me show you that from the side. I'm seated here. I walk to the edge of the seat. I bring my feet back a little bit towards the chair. I bring the poles forward a little bit, but I've still got that support. Notice my back is still straight because my stomach muscles are engaged. As I lean forward, I'm starting to push down on the core ledge, and I feel that lift, and it helps to bring me upright. Remember, you can do it slightly closer if you wish, but try and make both arms reach to the same degree. And this can then become my exercise. As I push down, it gives me some degree of support, and that lowers me down to the chair. And then I lean forward, push down, and bring myself up. I lower myself down. I'm pushing through the core ledge here and lower myself back, or through the straps. If you've got Nordic poles, I push down and I bring myself upright. Now, the great thing with poles is the poles are going to start to allow you to progress your exercise. And that's what makes the difference with most other pieces of kit. So, for example, if you're out and you wanted to work aerobically and challenge the heart and lungs, and walking is uncomfortable for you, the poles will make you feel lighter on your feet. They'll make you feel lighter on your hips and your knees. That suddenly makes walking more comfortable, so you can now walk faster, and you can achieve the exercise that you want. It's the same with these exercises here. I can achieve the level of exercise that I want. So if I need a lot of support, I can bring the poles a little bit closer. As you become more confident with it, you can reach a bit further. You can press down on the ledge or in the strap and lower yourself down. But as I get stronger with this, I start to press less firmly through the handle, and I bring myself up and lower myself down. And then maybe just with a finger on and coming up and lowering myself down until the point where possibly you're able to do the exercise leaning forward as if you have the poles, you're reaching. I'm bringing my weight forwards and I bring myself up to standing and lower myself down. But rather than being in a position where you either can do it or you can't, you've now got 3 or 4 different intensity options between that can do it or can't do it in order to get that support and stability and bring you upright. So even if you're using, if you want to use the poles in your seat, please add them. Make it feel how it engages through your stomach muscles and helps to lift you into better posture, and then do the exercises more effectively. So we'll now have a look at standing exercises. Once again, the poles are there to provide that stability and support. If you're out walking and you tire, you can use the poles to hold you upright. They'll provide better balance. If you feel at any point that you're freezing, the poles should help with freezing. There's some evidence that poles help to reduce that once you get moving with the poles. But if you do find yourself there, you can use the poles just to support before moving off once again. But let's just have a look at the basic balance exercises with the poles. So just as I did when we were seated, I'd like you to push down into the strap or onto the ledge and just feel that the poles lift you a bit taller. When you take that pressure off, you'll drop a little bit. So as I press down, feel the stomach muscles engage and it lifts you. When you come off, it won't be a lot, but there'll just be a little bit of a drop. Don't push yourself too far. If you find yourself quite far forward, you may use the poles just to bring yourself up a little bit, and then when you release that pressure, you find that you move back down once again. But pressing up and going down, pressing up, so you're working to your appropriate level to lift yourself just a little bit taller. Don't try and take yourself from too far down all the way up, because the muscles that are involved, the stomach muscles, the muscles of the back, they might not be conditioned ready for that. So you want to build this up over time. So using the poles then it's your exercise for you to stand a little bit taller. The poles then provide stability, and you can just gently move your weight from side to side and feel that the poles are giving you that support. They're giving you that confidence to move side to side. And again, there's the option to progress, that as you do this, if you wanted to, you could be much lighter on the poles, or even start to lift one pole, lift the other, bringing both down, so that you're working to your ability. In terms of balance, we have this, you can bring 1 foot from the floor. Now where that might be difficult or more challenging rather, if you were to not have the poles, you can start to progress that, challenge that by taking one pole off. You may need to put it back down, taking the other pole off, putting it back down, trying to take both off for a while. But if you have a wobble, you've got the poles there for stability. You have a wobble, you've got the poles there for stability. And let's change legs and try the other side there. So lifting 1 foot, just as high as you feel comfortable. And then if you don't want to lift the poles away, you can play with this just by I'm making myself a little bit lighter on my hands. And then I've got the poles there if I need them. So I can work just by making it just a little bit less support. And as I progress, less support, I'm just using my hands on top very gently now, to progressing possibly to lifting one pole away, lifting the other pole away, or standing with no poles, but having them there for stability. So we can use the poles for stability, we can use them for balance exercises, and we can use them to enhance the exercise, challenge ourselves appropriately with the exercise. Strength exercises. I want to have a look at variations for strengthening through your legs, through the buttocks, through the back of your legs. A squat, this is the same exercise, it's the same movement as we did earlier, from the seat to standing and back down again. Very often what happens when people don't use poles, one, you might find it more difficult to balance or support. But even in doing so, what I will notice is a lot of people, their knees at some point will start to drop in. their posture may start to drop just a little bit. Use the poles now to allow yourself to start to go further into the exercise while still maintaining good form. So as I go down here, this is the point when perhaps my knees might start to normally roll in. As I push down through the ledge, through the strap, I find I can go down further before coming back up. I can go down further before I come back up, and further, with good form. Now with the poles here, notice I'm reaching forward. So try and balance both arms. So both arms are reaching forward to the same degree. And that's what's going to counterbalance, because what happens here is as I reach forward with my hands, my bum goes back the other way and then come back on up. So I reach forward and back down and reach forward and back down. But we can make this progressive in other ways. We can make it progressive by moving on to one leg. So if this isn't right for you, but you were okay with the previous exercise, then you stay down with both feet on the ground and you're trying to reach forward. If you're not comfortable reaching forward, just reach forward a little way, but try to make both hands reach to the same degree. If I want to challenge myself further, I can work up onto to one leg. Again, what I would find without the poles, one, balance would be difficult. Two, as soon as I go down, I know this knee wants to start to drop in, but I can use the poles, and now I can challenge one side much more effectively. I'm keeping my knees and my feet and my hip aligned, and then changing onto the other side, I can challenge the other side. So although we think we're on 2 feet, when we're walking, we're on 1 foot. So bringing in one-footed exercise or balance exercises with strength can be really effective. And I'm still reaching forward, I'm counterbalancing by reaching forward here with the poles. So when we want to look at that, so we've looked at posture, we've looked at stability, we've looked at strength exercises, we need to have a look at walking as well. How you use the poles will depend upon how you're moving at the moment. So if you need to have a walking stick or a walker, you might feel that you can't walk without some degree of support. In that instance, you're going to want to be using these poles in order to provide that stability, which then allows you to walk more effectively, slightly faster, and hopefully feeling more comfortable through your hips, your knees, comfortable in terms of balance, and comfort and confidence in terms of stability. I'm going to keep the poles vertical here, and what I'd like to encourage you to do when you're using the poles is to punch out when you walk. So I haven't got much space here, but enough for you to see. Notice that I'm punching out, and when I plant, I've got that stability, I've got that support through the ledge, through the strap. But I feel secure with this. What you'll notice, and the science will support this, is very often without poles, you might find that there's more of a rock from side to side. You might find that one step or one side is different from the other. The poles should help to level that out. So you should feel that when you're walking with the poles, that there's less movement from side to side. The stride length naturally with the poles, you don't have to think about this, the stride length will be slightly longer, and what you'll find is that you'll tend to land further back on your heel, so there'll be more of a movement through your heel as you're walking. There's more of a rock there through the foot. If I'm using this and I'm punching out, I'm trying to punch out equally on both sides. Have a look at these logos. I've got the Nordic Walking UK, I've got the Walks logo here. You'll see them moving from side to side as I walk towards the camera. They're not rocking from side to side, I'm rotating, which is really good. It's that from a healthy spine perspective, really good to get rotation in the spine. I'm not making myself rotate, all I'm thinking about is punching out with one hand, then the other, and I get rotation. So let me move backwards. You can challenge yourself walking backwards. I come forward once again, forwards. Good. If you need, so I'm coming backwards here. If you're not comfortable with going backwards and you're thinking, how am I going to turn with poles? You might just need to take a slightly longer circle in order to turn yourself around. That's using the poles for stability. If you find that you don't actually need poles for stability, you're wanting the poles for exercise, so you're wanting the poles to increase the heart rate. Nordic walking, your heart rate will be higher. The calorie consumption of Nordic walking is somewhere, different studies, but somewhere around about 20% more calories consumed Nordic walking than ordinarily walking. Partly that's because you're walking faster, and partly because you're using more muscles. That's an important point actually, with more muscles. What you might find is if you're using poles for the first time when you're going out for a walk, it can be tiring. It can be tiring through the upper body. So you may just want to start somewhere slightly more gently. Don't go out too far and build up your upper body fitness with it. With the Nordic walking style, so it's more of a swing from the shoulder with a straighter arm and the poles angled back. The key bit is swinging from the shoulder. So what I'd like you to feel now, if you're comfortable standing freely, holding poles halfway down and swinging your arm from your shoulder. I'd like you to, as you do this, just notice how your stomach muscles are engaged. Feel what happens if you then bend at the elbows, and a lot of people when they're trekking, they bend at their elbows. The stomach muscles switch off. You might not notice it until you go back to a long arm swing, and hopefully at that point you feel that your stomach muscles are more engaged. So even walking, even if you haven't got poles, when you're out walking, if you can think about a swing of the arm from the shoulder, you swing the arm from the shoulder, you're going to feel that you should feel that there's more engagement through the stomach muscles. You're more stable, you're more upright. So, first thing with the poles is swinging your arm from the shoulder, getting a feel of that compared to bending at the elbow. And your warm-up might be just going for a walk, swinging your arms from the shoulders, just for a couple of minutes. Then take hold of your poles. You either put your hands in the strap. With here I don't have to, I can just hold straight on. The poles are angled back. If you've got straps or if you've got the Activator poles, make sure you're still using the ledge there. Poles are angled back, and I am using the poles now. As I push down into that core ledge, it's driving me forwards as well as giving me some degree of lift. When I plant horizontally, I get more lift. When I plant angled back, I get slightly less lift, but I do get more propulsion. So this idea of either punching out for stability or swing with a straight arm for propulsion depends on how you feel about your walking with poles, where you're at. Whichever method, whichever technique you adopt, really try and focus on that swing of the arm being equal on both the left and the right sides. What you should find is if you know that you step more confidently, let's say with your left leg, and the right leg is a shorter step, by focusing that swing on that left arm, naturally it's going to bring the right leg further forward with it. So you don't necessarily have to think too much on stride length. If it works for you, do. If you have your techniques that work for you, if you know that thinking about where your heel's striking, please adopt these. Don't change these things because you've got poles. Use poles to enhance what you ordinarily do. But if you just go for a walk, focusing on that swing of the arm from the shoulder, trying to keep the swing on both sides to the same degree, whether it's my left hand coming forward or my right hand coming forward, you should find that the legs are more balanced too. So that's walking. I know we're in an indoor space. I know it's not as clear as seeing a nice long run outside. The key thing you need to think about, whether you're punching out or you're swinging out, arms even, and trying to get that movement here or here, get that movement at the shoulder as best you can. So finally then, the use of the poles when we're doing our stretches. using poles again to give that degree of stability or support. I can use the poles to take myself back. I'm stretching my calf here, but I've got that support through the poles. So for some of the exercises that you do anyway, the poles will give a greater sense of support and stability there, and you can focus on the stretch, in this case on the calf, on that rear leg. If I want to stretch my hamstrings, I can bend my knees and bowing forward, and again I'm using the poles for support and for stability. There may be some exercises that you wouldn't ordinarily do. So quadriceps, what I can do here, please remember, just do the exercises that you're comfortable with. Quadriceps, the 4 muscles on the front of the thigh. If balance isn't too much of an issue, I can hold onto the poles. I've now made a triangle with the poles on my foot, and then holding onto my trouser, onto my shoe, and I've got that support there. I could also use the poles simply using a bench, a step or a seat, just pushing my toes up. I've got the poles for support there, and as I push forward, I'm feeling that stretch through my thigh. But the poles are allowing me to stay upright when I wouldn't ordinarily be comfortable lifting my foot behind me and up onto a surface. So these are things that you can try to enhance what you're already doing. To stretch my chest, take hold of the poles, put the poles on the back of your pelvis, push against the back of my pelvis, and I'm going to feel my chest opening up here. So I'm using the poles as a lever to get that stretch across my chest. But this can apply if you're sitting as well. So I can bring in any of these exercises, going forward into a hamstring stretch, using the poles as I reach forward. That just allows me more confidently to bring my weight forward, where I might not feel that if I didn't have something to hold on to there. So I've got that support there. I can change sides. If you haven't got arms on your seat, as I am here, I just shuffle backwards a little bit. I can do the chest exercise. But if you have got arms on the seat and you can't get yourself in there, you could just hold and open up that way to stretch across your chest. So we have a number of options with the poles. I hope that's been useful. I hope that's enabled you to consider how you can best use the poles that you have to enhance the exercise, enhance the walking that you're doing. If you haven't got poles, as I said earlier, have a look at nordicwalking.co.uk, have a look at the store there, and there's lots of information available about different types of poles, and we're here to support as well. If you fancy joining a group class, or have a look at nordicwalking.co.uk, have a look at walks, W-A-L-X, walks.co.uk. We have 2,500 classes a week on around the country. We're based on fitness walking, with poles, without poles, just walking, exploring, sometimes bringing in other exercises, so strength exercises, balance exercises. We have yoga walks, we have Tai Chi walks. So we have a whole range of activities really to try and engage outdoors. So we're here for you. Enjoy walking in your own time. Please use poles. It gives you so much more. It increases the energy consumption. It gives you better posture. It enables you to work a little bit harder, a little bit faster. Above all, enjoy it. I think that's the key thing. Thank you.